one thing that I've had to learn about music is that in music, you are going to change your opinions a lot. Now, you do get those set in stone opinions, not even just music. Let's just speak about hip hop specifically. You will have revolving opinions. Now, that doesn't mean that you aren't going to start to develop opinions in hip hop that maybe stand true for the most part. But you get those ones that you think are going to stand the test of time and stand true for you as a listener that end up changing. And one of those, and this is just talking about the artist, please, for those people that are in the conversations right now about this guy in that realm of the personal guy that he is, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm good on talking about that. That's for the people that know how to develop and uh, make a conversation that needs to be had. That's not what I'm here to do in that sense. I'm more here to talk about Playboi Carti as a musician or as an artist, right? Because again, one thing I feel in hip hop that happens a lot is that we fall in love with a subgenre of hip hop, and then when other subgenres start to pop up, again, right now, I feel like rage is one of those, not even feel like, but rage is one of those subgenres of hip hop that is big, but is also new. And when something in hip hop or something in music is new, a lot of times, experimental, whatever you want to call it, it does put a lot of listeners in a place of either really loving what they're hearing from the experimental hip hop or really despising what they are hearing from the experimental hip hop. And again, a lot of times it's the older generation that maybe isn't too fond on what they're hearing, which again, when you talk about Cardi, again, a lot of that is rage music. This isn't anything that's going to have depth necessarily in the music. This is more of a mosh pit. We are all raging at a concert, that type of music for the most part when it comes to Playboi Carti. Now, the thing about Playboy is that, believe it or not, now I'm not saying I didn't like Magnolia, I didn't like Woke Up Like This, but I wasn't sitting here as the biggest Playboi Carti fan. I actually was a bigger Uzi fan for a long time. But even in that, the rave music, as I was somebody that liked to listen to the lyrical, more pure side, as they like to call it, side of hip hop, more depth and conscious thought. Again, that's not my point because that's not the type of listener I am now. I am a listener that just loves good music no matter what the depth of that music is necessarily. It can be something that is surface level, that is sitting at the beginning of the beach, and then the ones that are deep in the ocean. And you have to go and listen to multiple times because there are layers to the music. Now, again, the reason that I'm talking about these different levels of listenership is because for the most part, people feel they fall in one category, but more than likely they fall in multiple categories. It's the same conversation I kind of been having about Drake and how there is a bigger listening base that doesn't really have this like I'm never listening to you mentality when it comes to Drake, like people think. Now there is this down in listenership compared to what it once was. And I think a lot of that listenership is the hip hop community because that is where the beef took place. And those two artists are the biggest artists in said space. So of course that is going to take a hit, not the hit that I think people thought it was going to take. Now, again, to get back to my point, rage music, what Playboy Cardi has done or is doing currently in hip hop is something that is different. It is something that at the end of the day is, I guess, technically fresh in the sense that it brought artists that kind of brought that similar sound in a lot of ways. You know, you got the Eats, you got the Destroy Lonelys. I don't listen to them personally, but I do know that is the type of music that they typically are involved in. And again, there is a whole fan base that is surrounding everything that involves rage music. Travis Scott is probably on that echelon of rage type music, of course. But again, the thing about listening to somebody that maybe you aren't the biggest fan of as far as what they are doing in their music, sometimes they start to get And believe it or not, his last album, it made me, I don't wanna say a fan necessarily, but I will go and listen. I'm not a person that's like, "That's not for me necessarily," or anything like that, because again, I'm not gonna act like that music isn't headbanging to me. This was a change in opinion that I had from when I used to sit there and say, "I'm not going to go listen to music that makes my head hurt at the end of the song." I lied to myself, and I actually do enjoy that music, okay? Now, I don't enjoy that music where I'm consuming it every single day, but if Playboi Carti song comes on, or there is songs that I can go and pick personally from Playboi, right? Again, Whole Lotta Red did make me realize, again, I did not like Whole Lotta Red when I first heard it, and as I was going, I started to realize, "Oh, I'm wrong." And I think sometimes it's okay to admit you're wrong. This isn't just talking about a Playboi Carti. This is just talking about an artist that maybe you don't originally like, and then you just let it simmer for a little bit, and you start realizing, maybe I'm wrong about my first synopsis about this. That's the thing about music. Music can change. It can change in your ear. You can listen to something and not like it, or listen to something and like it, and then eventually be like, at some point, if that's over listening to it, if it's just, it isn't what you thought it was when you first heard it. There are different reasons for why when you listen to music, you know what I'm saying? There is always this. Yes, we try to stay stern in our opinions of a song after we first hear, but that's why people tell you you should listen to a song more than once. Not that you need to go and listen 7, 8, 9 times to try to like something. That's not what I'm saying. Sometimes you listen to the second, third time and you realize you were missing certain elements of that song that you didn't hear the first time. You see what I'm saying? My whole point is, first off, first point, I don't know if I'm a Playboi Carti fan necessarily, but I can give Playboi Carti a lot of credit, and I can see here as a musician. Again, I'm not talking about none of that other. And I can also say that as much as I thought I was going to have a certain opinion about rage music in its whole, it did grow on me as a listener. Second, second point I came to name. Do the same. If you start liking something secretly, don't try to make yourself not like. Don't do that. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. The whole point of music is to enjoy and find what you enjoy. If you start liking something and you told the world that you didn't like it, that's okay to come back and say, I might have been wrong about that. That's what I had to do, was start to realize, oh shit, I think I like Cardi. Again, if you don't like Playboi Carti, ain't nobody trying to persuade you to like Playboi Carti, to listen to Playboi Carti or anything like that. I'm not even trying to persuade you to listen to artists you don't like. I'm just more saying, when you listen to music, enjoy the music that you listen to. And when you do start to allow music to grow on you, it makes the experience that much better. But anyways, y'all, I'm gonna get up out of here. If you like the content, like, subscribe. Anyways, y'all, I'm gonna get up out of here. Y'all stay blessed. Have a good day. I'm out.